I'm standing behind the counter at Berlin's Hauptbahnhof information desk when an American woman approaches, rolling a massive suitcase and speaking at full volume into her phone. She's ignoring every single floor marking, directional arrow, and the literal red line painted on the ground that separates the queue area from the service zone. A German businessman waiting patiently in the actual queue line coughs pointedly. She doesn't notice. A teenager with bright green hair sighs audibly. Nothing. She walks straight through a clearly marked, Kein Durchgang barrier, literally NO passage with pictograms, and plants herself directly at my counter, still talking on her phone. "Hold on, Jennifer," she says into her phone, then looks at me expectantly. "I need information about trains." I gesture politely to the queue behind her, where 7 people have been waiting properly. "Madam, there is a line system. Please join at the back." She glances at the queue, genuinely confused. "But I just have a quick question. These people look like they have complicated stuff." She gestures dismissively at a woman holding train tickets and a printed itinerary. "I just need to know one thing." The German businessman's eye twitches. This is going to be a long shift. 20 minutes later, after she's finally queued properly, complaining the entire time that efficient Germany should have a separate express lane for simple questions, she reaches my counter again. She wants to know why the DB Navigator app rejected her screenshot of a credit card instead of letting her enter the numbers directly. When I explain it's a security feature, she launches into a detailed theory about how this is Germany's revenge for American tech dominance and pulls up a Reddit thread from 2019 as evidence. The businessman has given up and left. I don't blame him. My colleague Klaus works at a municipal registration office in Munich, and he told me about an American who came in for mandatory city registration, the famous Anmeldung appointment. The American arrived 47 minutes late for his precisely scheduled 10 a.m. slot. Not approximately late. Exactly 47 minutes because Klaus, being German, noted it. "Sorry, dude, traffic was crazy," the American said, dropping into the chair with a coffee cup from a chain cafe. Klaus gestured to the appointment confirmation email projected on his screen. "Your appointment was at 10 o'clock. It is now 10:47. This time slot has expired." The American laughed. "Right, but I'm here now, so let's just do this quick." Klaus didn't laugh. "You must rebook. The next available appointment is in 6 weeks." The American's smile vanished. 6 weeks? For what, a 15-minute thing? Come on, man, I'm literally sitting here. You're not doing anything else. He gestured at Klaus's empty desk, which was empty because Klaus had intentionally left it clear after the missed appointment, as per protocol. "I have administrative duties during unbooked time slots," Klaus explained. "The system requires." "The system?" The American stood up, coffee sloshing. "Dude, I'm a person, not a widget in your system. This is exactly what people mean when they talk about German inflexibility. You know what? In America, we have customer service. We accommodate people. We understand that life happens." He was warming to his theme now, pacing. "This right here? This is why Germany lost the innovation race to Silicon Valley. You're so obsessed with your little rules and your little time slots that you forget about human beings with real problems." Klaus, utterly unmoved, pulled up the rebooking system. "Would you prefer a morning or afternoon appointment in January?" The American tried a new angle. "Okay, look, what if I told you I have an important business meeting this afternoon that depends on me having this registration done? What if I told you there's a €50,000 deal on the line?" "I would say that you should have arrived at 10 o'clock, Klaus replied, clicking through screens with methodical precision. The American finally exploded. "This is insane. I'm calling the American embassy. This is discrimination. You can't refuse to serve me just because of a stupid appointment time." That's a violation of my rights as an international resident. Klaus looked up, expression unchanged. The embassy will tell you to rebook your appointment, morning or afternoon. The American stormed out, leaving his coffee cup on Klaus's pristine desk. Klaus disposed of it properly, recycling the cup and lid separately, then sanitized his desk surface. Then he filed an incident report, time-stamped at 10:53, noting the abandoned beverage as a protocol violation. The American tried to email the mayor's office that night. The automated response informed him that email inquiries were processed in order of receipt, with an estimated response time of 8 weeks. My friend Emma works at a German pharmacy in Frankfurt, and she encountered an American who couldn't understand why she wouldn't sell him pseudoephedrine without a prescription. He was convinced it was a conspiracy. In the States, I just grabbed Sudafed off the shelf, he insisted, gesturing at the shelves of neatly organized medications. It's for a cold. A basic human cold. Emma explained patiently. In Germany, pseudoephedrine requires a prescription because it's classified as. Yeah, I know, because someone somewhere might make meth with it or whatever. He rolled his eyes dramatically. But I'm clearly not a meth cook. Look at me. I'm wearing a Patagonia fleece and I have a LinkedIn profile with 2,000 connections. Just sell me the medicine. The law does not make exceptions based on fleece quality, Emma replied, keeping her face carefully neutral. You need to see a doctor. The American pulled out his phone. Okay, so I'll just order it on Amazon right now and have it shipped here. Problem solved. Emma shook her head. Customs will seize it. What? He looked genuinely shocked. Germany intercepts personal medication? That's like pharmaceutical totalitarianism. It's regulation, Emma corrected. He leaned on the counter, lowering his voice conspiratorially. Look, between you and me, what if I just paid extra? Like a convenience fee? I'd be willing to go up to €50 for a box. Emma's professional smile finally cracked, not into anger, but into something worse, profound disappointment. Sir, you are attempting to bribe a healthcare professional in a regulated pharmacy. I am required to document this conversation. The American's face went pale. Document? Wait, no, I wasn't bribing. I was just asking about, like, priority service or... The documentation is complete, Emma said, typing with efficient keystrokes. Please visit a physician for your prescription needs. He left rapidly, and Emma told me later that he tried to leave a 1-star Google review claiming the pharmacy was hostile to Americans with legitimate health needs. Google removed it for violating their policy on attempting to coerce service providers through reviews. The American then tried to appeal the removal, citing freedom of speech. Google's automated response explained that German consumer law actually sided with the pharmacy. He finally gave up and went to a doctor, who prescribed him something that actually worked better than pseudoephedrine. He never acknowledged this. My cousin Petra is a swimming pool attendant at a public schwimmbad in Stuttgart, and she watched an American family completely ignore every posted rule with impressive consistency. They entered through the Ausgang exit because it was closer to where we parked. They tried to bring glass bottles into the pool area despite 12 signs prohibiting this in German, English, and pictogram form. When Petra intercepted them, the father looked genuinely confused. But they're just water bottles, he said, holding up 2 glass bottles of San Pellegrino. Not like beer or anything. Petra pointed to the sign directly above his head showing a glass bottle with a red line through it. No glass. Breakage hazard. Right, but we'll be careful, his wife chimed in. We're not going to break them. We're responsible adults. The rule applies to all guests, Petra explained. The teenage daughter sighed dramatically. This is so extra. Like, in America, they trust people to make their own decisions. In America, you also have liability lawsuits, Petra countered. This prevents both broken glass and lawsuits. The father wasn't giving up. Okay, so here's what I don't get. You guys are all about environmental consciousness, right? Reduce, reuse, recycle? These are reusable glass bottles, but you want us to use plastic instead? Isn't that hypocritical? Petra, who had heard variations of this argument roughly 60 times per summer, replied calmly, "We have water fountains. You can refill your own reusable plastic bottles." "We don't have plastic bottles," the wife said. "We specifically brought glass because we're trying to reduce our plastic consumption. So Germany is forcing us to be less environmental." Petra gestured to the facility shop. "We sell reusable plastic bottles designed for swimming pools. €8. The family stared at her like she'd suggested ritual sacrifice. €8 for a bottle? The father exclaimed. This is outrageous. This is a captive market situation. You're exploiting people who made environmentally conscious choices. Or, Petra suggested with the patience of someone who had endured this exact conversation multiple times per week for 3 summers, you can use the free water fountains and cup your hands. The daughter actually gasped. Cup our hands? Like medieval peasants? Petra just pointed to the locker area. Glass bottles must be stored in lockers. This is your final notice. The family retreated, muttering about German authoritarianism. 15 minutes later, the father approached Petra again. So we put the bottles in our locker like you said, but now we're thirsty. Can you make an exception just for 1 bottle? We'll hold on to it the entire time, never put it down. No, Petra said. We'll sign a waiver. No. They finally bought the plastic bottles, but not before the father took several photos of the exploitative pricing and posted them to a travel Facebook group with a lengthy complaint about German pool socialism. Multiple Germans in the comments explained that €8 was standard pricing and actually included a €2 deposit refund. The American never responded to these corrections. I drive a tram in Cologne, and I've learned that Americans have a unique relationship with pedestrian signals. They understand them intellectually. Red means stop, green means go, but they seem to believe these are suggestions rather than actual rules. Last month, an American man jogged across the tram tracks directly in front of my vehicle despite the red signal, the clanging bell I was frantically ringing, and the fact that I was clearly moving toward him. I stopped. Thankfully, I wasn't going fast, and he had the audacity to look annoyed at me, as if I'd interrupted his workout. When I opened the door to speak with him, he was already defensive. Dude, I saw you, he said, breathing hard from his jog. I had plenty of time. The signal was red, I replied, pointing to the pedestrian light still glowing crimson. He wiped sweat from his forehead. Yeah, but there were no cars coming from the other direction. The light's just a guideline when it's clear. An elderly German woman on my tram called out from her seat. In Germany, we respect traffic signals. The American jogger looked up at her, then back at me. Okay, but that's kind of insane, right? Like, if I can clearly see it's safe, why would I stand there waiting for a light to change? That's just wasting everyone's time. You nearly caused an accident, I pointed out. But I didn't, he countered, as if this proved his point. Because I'm aware of my surroundings. Look, I get that Germans love their rules, but there's such a thing as overregulation. In America, we trust individuals to assess situations and make smart choices. The elderly woman called out again. In America, you also have many traffic deaths. The jogger ignored her. What if I told you I'm training for a marathon? What if I told you that stopping and starting repeatedly is actually harmful to my training cadence and could result in injury? Would you want to be responsible for that? I stared at him. I would want to be responsible for not hitting you with a tram. Right, but you didn't hit me, so the system worked, he said, somehow interpreting his near-death experience as validation. Maybe the real lesson here is that German pedestrians need to be more confident and aware instead of blindly following signals like sheep. I closed the door and continued my route. Through the window, I watched him jog away, crossing another red light, this time in front of a bus. The bus driver honked. The American waved cheerfully, completely missing the point. Later that day, I saw a post in an expat Facebook group. Why are German drivers so aggressive? Nearly got honked at twice today during my run. Is this a cultural thing? The obliviousness was breathtaking. The most recent incident at my information desk involved an American couple trying to board a train without reservations during Oktoberfest weekend, literally the busiest travel period in Bavaria. Every train to Munich was completely booked. Not mostly booked. Completely. As in, system showing 0 available seat. But we need to get to Munich, the woman insisted, as if her need would spontaneously generate train seats. We have hotel reservations. I explained the situation. She pulled out her phone and showed me a screenshot of a travel blog from 2011 claiming Germans are usually flexible about reservations if you're polite. That is not accurate, I said. Her husband jumped in. Okay, what if we just got on anyway? Like stood in the hallway or whatever. We don't need seats. The train is full. The hallways are full. Fire code capacity is reached. The wife's eyes lit up. Fire code? Okay, but what if there was an actual emergency? You'd have to let people on then, right? So this policy of turning away paying customers is actually a safety violation when you think about it. I did not engage with this logic. Next available train is in 4 hours. I can book you seats. 4 hours. The husband threw up his hands. This is Deutschland. Efficient, punctual Germany. How is there not a train to your most famous city every 15 minutes? There are many trains, I explained patiently. They are all fully booked. It is Oktoberfest. The wife tried one final angle. What if we speak to whoever's in charge of German trains? Like the CEO or transportation minister or whatever? Because this is clearly a systemic failure in capacity planning. I suggested they could write a letter to Deutsche Bahn headquarters. They asked for the address. I provided it. They never wrote the letter. They did, however, post a lengthy TripAdvisor review about Germany's artificial train scarcity and how it was probably designed to price out tourists. 6 Germans commented explaining Oktoberfest booking patterns. The couple never responded. As I watch yet another American approach my counter, already talking loudly and ignoring the clearly marked queue system, I realize something profound. German signals aren't strict because Germans are authoritarian. They're strict because they actually work, but only if everyone follows them. The moment you decide you're special enough to ignore them, you're not being free or innovative. You're just being the chaos everyone else's order has to work around. The American reaches my counter, cutting in front of 3 people. Quick question, he announces. I point silently to the queue line. He sighs like I've personally betrayed him. Some signals, it seems, are invisible to those who refuse to see them.